He fired me right after pitching my idea, but he had no clue what was coming next. The boardroom went silent when I walked in. "You're not needed in this meeting, Ava." The words hit harder than they should have. But it wasn't just the dismissal, it was how he said it. Cold. Flat. Like I was invisible. Like the pitch I'd worked on for 2 months hadn't just carried the entire campaign. I blinked at Mr. Whitaker, my boss. Correction, my soon-to-be ex-boss. He was already turning his back toward the glass boardroom, full of clients, his voice smooth as honey. Now, as I was saying, the idea came to me one night. I stopped at the door. He didn't. He was presenting my idea. Word for word. Every headline, every hook, every single detail I'd stayed up 3 nights polishing was now coming out of his mouth like it was his own. I stood there frozen, hand still on the door handle. I couldn't move. My throat tightened. My fingers twitched. I looked through the glass. They were all smiling, nodding. The investors, the partners, some even clapping. I felt sick. He didn't just steal my idea. He was getting applause for it. I slowly walked away, my heels clicking on the marble floor, heart pounding with disbelief. I walked past desks filled with people who didn't look up, past interns still filing papers I taught them how to organize, past the vending machine where I once skipped meals just to meet campaign deadlines. I reached my desk, or what used to be my desk. A box was already there, my name scrawled on it in black marker. I looked at the receptionist. She looked away. I didn't cry. Not here. Not in front of him. "Security will escort you out," came a voice behind me. I turned. Whitaker. With that same fake sympathy smirk he wore whenever he let someone go to streamline creativity. I didn't say a word. I just picked up the box. But my mind was already working on something bigger. Because what Whitaker didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I had registered my pitch under my own name 3 weeks ago. Not under the company's. And now his entire lie was built on a trap. One I designed. Carefully. Silently. And the next time I stepped into that boardroom, it wouldn't be as an employee. It'd be as something more. 2 hours after being fired, I sat in my small kitchen, staring at the flickering kettle that never fully boiled. My box of belongings sat on the floor unopened. Inside it, a cracked office photo of me smiling beside a whiteboard full of campaign sketches. I wasn't smiling anymore. My phone buzzed. "Unknown number. Your pitch was brilliant. We're increasing the offer. Let's close this week." I stared at the message. My hand trembled, not with fear, with relief. It worked. A week before Whitaker kicked me out, I had a strange gut feeling. After our 3rd pitch review, I noticed how his compliments had started sounding rehearsed. Polished. Like he was studying me, not praising me. That night, I took the pitch I built and filed it under my name legally. Then I quietly pitched it on my own as a freelancer to one of the very investors Whitaker was chasing. They liked it. No. They loved it. And now they were cutting him out, without even knowing what he'd tried to pull. I exhaled, barely smiling. This wasn't revenge. This was justice, served professionally. No drama. No yelling. Just facts. He fired me to steal my moment. Now I take back that moment. On a larger stage. 3 days later, I walked into the Hyatt Conference Center wearing a simple navy suit. Not designer. Not flashy. But I wore it with pride. Because I wasn't here as Ava, former employee. I was here as the new creative director of the campaign Whitaker thought he sold. And the real kicker? The client had asked me to present it publicly for their global rollout. They had no idea Whitaker had even tried to pitch it as his own. He'd never even made it past the proposal round. But now, he was invited to watch. I spotted him the moment I walked in. He froze in the back row. His lips parted slightly, eyes widening as he recognized me on stage. His face turned pale. He reached for his phone. But it was too late. The intro music played. The lights dimmed. And I took the mic. "Good morning. I'm Ava Cole, and this campaign is the story of something small, turning into something powerful." My voice didn't shake. My heart didn't race. Not anymore. Because I realized something in that moment. I never needed his approval. Or his permission. I created the story. I protected it. And now I was owning it, in front of the very people who once clapped for him. And this time, they clapped for me. As the applause grew, I glanced at Whitaker again. He was gone. But the empty chair where he sat? That was all the closure I needed. The crowd filtered out slowly after the presentation. Some clapped me on the shoulder. Others gave firm handshakes, calling the pitch brilliant, inspired, even revolutionary. One woman in a gray power suit whispered, "You made me feel something." That's rare in this industry. But all I could hear was the sound of that empty chair.
It haunted me.
Not because I missed him, but because part of me still craved an answer. Why? Why did he take my work and pretend it was his? He had a team. He had the position. He had everything. I was just an employee. And still, that wasn't enough for him. Later that evening, I returned to my apartment. It wasn't much, a top-floor walk-up, one bedroom, and a second-hand couch with a spring poking through the side. But for the first time in years, it felt like mine. And it felt enough. I placed the crystal plaque the company had handed me at the event, lead creative strategist, Ava Cole, on the windowsill. The city lights shimmered behind it. I stood there for a while, arms crossed, letting the quiet wash over me. Then a buzz. Unknown number. I answered, expecting a client or maybe a congratulatory call. But the voice? Familiar. Too familiar. "We need to talk," Whitaker said. I didn't reply.
Please.
Just 5 minutes. I'm downstairs. I glanced outside. Sure enough, he stood there. No security, no suit, no smile.
Just a man who looked drained.
I hesitated. I wasn't afraid, but I was cautious. Still, some part of me wanted to hear him out. Closure doesn't always come in applause. Sometimes, it needs a face-to-face truth. I opened the lobby door without a word. He stepped in, awkwardly. His eyes scanned the space like it was foreign to him. Like he'd never been in a place that didn't smell like leather chairs and marble floors. "Nice place," he said, clearly lying. I just stared. He sighed, stuffing his hands into his pockets. "You probably hate me." "I don't hate you," I said quietly. "I pity you." That one landed. He swallowed hard. "I shouldn't have done it," he murmured. I panicked. I was losing control of the team. Investors were pulling out. I thought if I could just land one major pitch. "You didn't panic," I said, stepping forward. "You planned it. You had interns prep my slides. You scheduled the pitch meeting before you fired me. That's not desperation. That's betrayal." His shoulders sagged. "I know." A pause. "You crushed it today," he said. I said nothing. Better than I ever could. Still, I didn't speak. Then he said something that made me blink. "I came to say, thank you." I tilted my head. "For what?" "For not dragging my name through the mud. You had every reason to, but you didn't." That silence lingered. He looked smaller now. Human. Not a boss. Not a thief. Just a man who lost the one thing he couldn't steal. Respect. "I'm not like you, Whitaker," I said softly. "I don't win by stepping on people. I win by building something worth standing on." He nodded once, then turned to go. But just before he opened the door, he looked back and said, "You're going to be something big, Ava. Bigger than I ever was." And then he left. I closed the door slowly, heart still pounding, not with anger, but release. Because that conversation? It wasn't about forgiving him. It was about freeing myself from needing anything more from him. The next morning, I poured coffee, stepped onto my tiny balcony, and smiled. For the first time in my career, I wasn't chasing anything. I was already leading. And that was better than revenge. It was growth. 3 weeks later, I was standing in front of a glass wall 34 floors above the city. The new office didn't smell like stress. It didn't hum with silent fear or politics. It smelled like freedom. It felt like home. I was now officially the creative director at Halston and Bright, one of the top firms in the city. And not because I begged or networked my way in. I was here because I earned it, because the work spoke for itself. I ran my fingers along the edge of the desk, sleek, clean, mine. My nameplate still looked foreign to me. Ava Cole, etched in gold. But with every passing day, it started to feel more right. I heard a knock. "Come in," I said, turning. It was Tasha, the intern from my old job. Only she didn't look like an intern anymore. She was wearing a black blazer 2 sizes too big, carrying a worn leather bag, her curls tied up tight, eyes heavy with anxiety. I hadn't seen her since the day I was fired. She'd looked away then, like everyone else.
But now, she was standing in my office.
"I wasn't sure you'd remember me," she said nervously. "Tasha," I replied softly, gesturing to the chair. "I do."
"Sit."
She did, cautiously. Her hands fidgeted in her lap. Her eyes didn't meet mine. "I heard about your pitch," she said. "Everyone did. You were amazing."
"Thank you," I said.
She paused. "I came because I'm scared," she confessed. "Whitaker's firm, it's collapsing. Half the team's been let go. The rest are clinging to whatever's left." I listened silently. "I don't want to be part of it anymore," she whispered. "But no one will hire me. I don't have the resume. And I feel like I backed the wrong side." There it was. That quiet human truth. Not everyone who stays silent is your enemy. Some are just afraid. I took a deep breath. "You knew it was my idea," I said. She nodded slowly. "I did. I should have said something." "Why didn't you?" "Because I was scared.
I needed the job. Rent.
My mom's medical bills." I just froze. I leaned forward.
"Tasha," I said.
"Do you want to learn?"
"Grow?"
"Work with integrity." She looked up, surprised.
"Yes."
"More than anything." "Then let's start over." She blinked. Are you serious?" "Dead serious," I said. "You're not the only one who ever felt trapped. I've been there. But you came here. That matters." Tears welled up in her eyes.
She didn't speak.
Just nodded. I handed her a folder. "Junior Creative Strategist. Start Monday." She took it like it was a golden ticket. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't pity. It was restoration. And this time, I was the one holding the door open. By Friday, I had a team. A real one. Not built on fear, but on collaboration.
And it was working.
We were prepping for our next pitch, a massive campaign for a rising tech startup. And just when things felt perfect, the past showed up again. An email hit my inbox. Subject: pending lawsuit. My stomach dropped. I opened it. It was from Whitaker's attorney. He was claiming I had stolen intellectual property from his company, namely, the pitch I'd made weeks ago. The same pitch he tried to claim first. It was laughable. But lawsuits weren't jokes. Even when you had truth on your side, it still drained your time, your energy, your peace. I sat in my office, staring at the email, my jaw clenched. Not from fear. From disbelief. He was really going this far? But then I remembered something. Something powerful. Receipts.
Dates.
Documents. Screenshots. All of it. I had them all. Timestamps of when I registered my concept. Emails showing he never even opened the pitch doc until days later. Even messages from investors confirming I'd pitched it independently. I wasn't afraid of this game anymore. I knew how to play it. I clicked forward and sent it all to our legal team. Let the truth speak. 2 weeks passed. Then one morning I got a call from my lawyer. "Case dismissed," she said. Judge threw it out immediately. The court warned him about filing again, without merit. I exhaled, deeply. Not with triumph, with closure. That part of my story was over. No fireworks. No headlines. Just truth, standing quietly. And sometimes, that's enough. It was a rainy Thursday when my past knocked on the door one last time. Literally. I was wrapping up a meeting in my office when reception called. "Miss Cole, there's someone here asking to speak with you. Says his name is Andrew Whitaker." The room went silent. My team looked up from their laptops. Even Tasha froze. I stood slowly. Tell him I'll be right there. He was waiting in the lobby, soaked from the storm outside, holding a manila envelope. He looked thinner, paler, tired, not defeated, just human. When our eyes met, he stood up, not sure whether to extend a hand.
He didn't.
Can we talk? He asked quietly. I led him into a side room. Not my office. Not his arena. Just neutral ground.
He sat.
Then, without saying anything, he slid the envelope across the table. I didn't touch it. He looked up. It's everything, he said. Proof that you created the campaign.
Notes.
Memos.
Drafts.
All with your name. I frowned. Why now? Because I can't run anymore, he said, voice cracking. I lost the firm. The board forced me out, and I realized I was angry at the wrong person. He looked up at me, eyes red. You were never the threat. You were the answer. But I didn't have the courage to admit it. Silence. I came to apologize, he said. Not for sympathy. Not for a second chance. Just to say I was wrong. And to thank you for not destroying me when you could have. I took a breath.
Deep.
Measured. You already destroyed yourself, I said softly. I just refused to let you take me with you. He nodded slowly, and then stood. If you ever need anything, I mean it. He turned to go, but I stopped him. Andrew. He paused. I forgive you. He looked back, surprised, almost stunned. Not because you earned it, I continued, but because I need peace. And I won't carry your weight anymore. A flicker of something passed over his face. Maybe shame. Maybe gratitude. Maybe both. Then he left, into the rain. Envelope still unopened on the table. He hadn't come to prove anything. He just wanted peace. And I'd given him mine. A year later, the firm was thriving. We'd launched 4 national campaigns, landed 2 major tech brands, opened a satellite office in Austin. Tasha was now a senior strategist. And me? I was being honored at the Women in Business Leadership Summit. The keynote speaker had fallen ill last minute. They asked me to step in. I stood behind the podium, a spotlight on me. The crowd was quiet, eager. I didn't have a speech. I had a story. I was once fired in front of my coworkers for a campaign I created, the same campaign that made me who I am today. Back then, I thought I lost everything, but what I really lost was fear. Because from that moment on, I stopped waiting for someone else to choose me. I chose myself, and it wasn't easy. There were nights I questioned my worth, days when silence screamed louder than insults. But what got me here wasn't power. It was purpose. It was the decision to build, not burn, to uplift, not undo, and to forgive, even when it wasn't asked for. Because in this world, there will always be people who steal your ideas. But no one can steal your identity unless you hand it to them. So hold on to who you are. Because sometimes the revenge that changes everything is becoming everything they said you couldn't be. The crowd rose to their feet. But I wasn't thinking about the applause. I was thinking about the journey. The girl holding a box of office supplies. The woman standing at a glass window alone. The intern afraid to speak. The idea stolen. The dignity restored. And above all, the kindness I never regretted. Because success built on hate crumbles. But success built on character? That lasts forever. That night, I walked home in the cool breeze, heels in hand. No drivers. No flashes. Just peace. And as I passed a nearby bench, I saw someone else, young, nervous, flipping through a sketchbook under the streetlight. I paused. Creative? I asked. She looked up, startled. Trying to be. I smiled and handed her my card. Come by Monday. She blinked. Seriously? I was you once. And I kept walking. Because the door that once closed on me, I was now holding it open for someone else.